Okay, here's how to use Pelago to find and analyze rehab opportunities. So let's say you're searching in the Portland area. You can either click on Portland, the city, or if you do this trick where you click a dash and then Vancouver, and just basically type in the name of the metro area, you can see every listing in that area. And so on the surface, Pelago is going to look like any other search tool where it's going to show you every listing for sale. You can filter by standard things like the structure type or the price, things like that. But Pelago also estimates an after repair value. So for every property on the market or even off the market, Pelago is going to estimate what we think the property's worth in a renovated condition and also what the rent is going to be. And this lets you filter by investor metrics. So for example, we have this one called gross gain. So if we put a 20% gross gain, that means that we're looking for listings where the after repair value is at least 20% higher than the listing price. And so this reduces the number of listings that we're looking at from 6,442 to 590. So, as a professional, this still might be a lot. You might want to bring this to a 30% gross gain. I like the 20% because 590 is a lot, but if you're an active professional, it's a manageable amount and then nothing slips through the cracks. So we can see here that all these listings have an after repair value that's higher than the list price. And if we go ahead and click on one of these, we can see that this property definitely needs work. It definitely could be, well, it is a rehab opportunity and it potentially could be a good deal. So now we scroll down, we still see more traditional information, like information about the structure, about the parcel, a satellite view, street view, things like that. And the real magic of the website is in this comparable section. So Pelago looks for comps that are in a renovated condition, and it prioritizes comps that are actually flipped. So you can see comp A, comp B, and comp D are all flipped houses. And we can see that comp C isn't flipped, but it looks like it's in a pretty good condition. The local MLS in Portland doesn't let us show photos beyond just the first photo when it comes to sold properties, but just zooming in here, we can see, there's some pretty good landscaping here, or at least this bush is well manicured, the roof looks nice, so we can kind of guess that it's probably in a remodeled condition. It sold for $435, and some of these flips, at least this one, sold for a little bit less, so we included it in there. Now, one of the things that's a little controversial about Pelago is that we look for comps that are an entire year back in time. So for example, this comp here, it sold in November last year, so about 11 months ago. And that might seem like a terrible thing. We're taught that we want to look for comps that are only a few months old. But that's only true if we assume, if we don't make any adjustments for what's happened in the market since then. So since November of last year, if this property were to have sold now, we're making this adjustment that, hey, the market has changed for this, this cost property for about $21,000. And this one that sold in July sold for $465. If it were to sell in October or November, which is when we are now, it would sell for $19,000 less. And so this lets you go back in time further with your comp and just adjust in time for how that would perform today. And this lets you kind of work through bumps. So it could be that comps that sold 2 months ago are actually less representative of the current market than comps that sold a year ago, because prices since a year ago, they went down, then they went up, and then the last couple months they've gone down. So this helps you kind of keep track of all that. These adjustments also help you make a sense of differences between the subject property and the comp. So for example, this comp A, it has 2 bathrooms, but the subject property has 3 bathrooms. So this $465 price, we add $14,000 to it, and that increases our adjusted value here at the bottom. One thing to note is that Pelago doesn't make these adjustments as strong for the bedrooms. It just turns out, through our analysis of things, that bathrooms are worth a lot more than bedrooms. And there's also kind of a bathroom line where if you've got only 1 bathroom versus 2, that's a much bigger difference for people than the difference between 2 bathrooms and 3. And so we can see on comp B, it only has 1 bathroom, and so we actually adjust by $51,000 here. And so that's why this property, even though it only sold for 410, is included in here. We make these adjustments and we get a 484 adjusted value, which is pretty in line with the 470 adjusted value here. So once we decide what we think the property is worth, and this is where you bring your own judgment, you make your own decisions on if you think these adjustments are too high or too low, we go down to the calculator section. And so here we've got a resale calculator, a rental calculator, and in the resale calculator, you might say, hey, I really liked comp A and comp B. I'm gonna say that I think the after repair value is 480 in this case. You're gonna do a really nice remodel, so maybe do a little bit higher than the Pelago ARV. But it's gonna take you longer. So we're gonna say that the carrying time is gonna be 6 months instead of 4 months. And that's gonna adjust things like the carrying cost down here. So if you look, it's 20,000 right now. If I make it 4 months, that drops to 13,000. Make it 6 months, it goes back up to 20,000. And so this is gonna be, these carrying costs are gonna be a function of time, and they're gonna be the things that you see here in the center: insurance, taxes, utilities, HOA dues if there are any, and then the big ones are interest. So if we take off, let's say, the rehab loan, that's gonna make a small dent in the carrying costs. And if we change this interest rate from 10% to 12%, that's gonna change the carrying costs accordingly. Then there's these other ones: buying costs, selling costs. So for example, if you're your own agent, you might charge yourself $500 instead of $12,000, and we make that save, and we see that the selling costs went down accordingly. So that's how to use Pelago to find and analyze deals. We hope you enjoy it.